David Sowers is the co-owner of Royal Restrooms. He's setting the gold standard, Johnny Marty, in clean, portable, luxury restroom experiences. He's been on the show a number of times. He's a super fan of the show, super guest of the show. He's a seasoned entrepreneur with deep roots in the events industry. David has seen it all, from high-end galas to disaster response situations. And Anderson, you can only imagine the stuff I'm sure he has seen in some event situations. Leadership Savannah graduate. And Marty, I got to throw to you, pal. What did David say one day when he's, I don't want to be in the bank anymore? What did he say, Marty?
The bank.
From that moment on, David's fuck the bank. I'm going to go and open up the cleanest, most awesome portable restroom experience in North America. I'm really excited to have our friend David Sowers here on Lab here today, because we're going to talk about this idea as entrepreneurs when you wake up and you go, I've been doing this for a while. Should I start a new business? Should I move on, or should I stay with this one? And sometimes, and I'm going to put my hand up, John and Marty, my co-hosts, sometimes somebody else has to make the decision for you. My old job at ICUC, I didn't make that decision. Hey, Keith, yeah, we're going in that direction. Okay. And we want you to go in that direction. Oh, okay. And sometimes the best decisions have to be made for you. But David, as an entrepreneur, should you stick with your old business or move on? Because 20% of small businesses, David, fail within the first year, and 50% fail within 5 years. David, how do we know when to keep going? How do we know what to hold on? How do we know when it's time to make a change? Sowers.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it all has to do with grit. How much strength do you have? How much personal belief do you have in what it is that you're doing? And without necessarily having the blinders on that make you so hyper-focused that you don't see the wrongs. You want to make sure that you're continue to be innovative, and the experience is what you want it to be. And if you believe that, you keep going. Too many things that go wrong don't necessarily make it wrong. You just have to keep trying a different direction and learn from your mistakes, and just keep pushing on if you believe it.
Yeah, I've never had a job. I've always done it myself, meaning I've always worked for myself. Yeah. I've always decided I'm going to do it my way. And so I've created a lot of different businesses. And one of the things that I've realized over the course of my time in business is that productive procrastination it's like a deadly gas you can't even see. You can stay busy, but have you identified that task? And there's one task in your list of shit that needs to be done. And if you invest your energy on that, it's going to move the needle forward. And if you don't put your energy on that, your business is going to flounder. And I think this is why so many of them fail. And usually that one thing that needs to be done is the thing that's the hardest. And people tend to think, oh, I'm going to work on that tomorrow and I'm going to do this today. And that cycle just continues. If you got a business and you're floundering, call it what you will, really look at what needs to be done. What is the one thing you can do that's going to make massive forward progression? Because there's always one thing. So my advice to a business owner is don't sit there and flounder. Identify what you got to do. It's going to be hard, and do it.
Yeah. Marty.
Yeah, I'll say this too. I think a lot of people fail because, and I haven't been in business as long as you all. I'm still on my path, but just from seeing personal trainers that started when I started, it's a lot of them that are not still around. And I think a lot of people don't understand what goes into it and how invested you have to be. And Keith said earlier, there's really no balance, especially in the beginning days. You really got to put a lot of energy into it. So there are some things you might have to cut out your life or limit. But I think that's why most people fail.
David, with your experience in crisis management, how have you spotted early signs that a business that you're working on or a situation that you're working within isn't salvageable? It's stuck and you're like, oh, this ain't working. I got to do something differently. What has that event experience taught you, David, around that?
So many times in those instances, you are continuing to do the same thing, but expecting a different outcome.
Yes.
And you really have to sit back and reanalyze the whole situation from multiple different angles and say, is this viable going forward? Or is this sustainable? Is just because you want it, do other people want it? And I think that you need to continue to make sure that you stand out above your competition and make the changes necessary to put you front and center to be viable.
Johnny.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. Identify that thing, or maybe it's a couple things that is going to put you in a class of your own. Because the difficult things that are stopping many businesses, it's human nature. People identify, oh God, that's going to be difficult. I'm going to do this. And most people are doing that. And they're repeating this mistake. They don't even know it. So do what you got to do to put yourself in a league of your own.
Yeah. David, sometimes, listen, The Harvard Business Review, 70% of entrepreneurs fail in their second venture. Sometimes the better choice isn't abandoning your business, but pivot. A new approach, new product, or audience could revitalize an existing venture. What do you, David, as I'm a big entrepreneur, you are as well. You're into something big time. What drives the failure, or what drives the pivot to change? Is it as the entrepreneur, the loss of the passion in the project? Is it as the entrepreneur, the focus on something else? How do we know when a pivot is better than starting over, David Sowers?
I think a lot of entrepreneurs on a whole, they look at one, they don't really necessarily entrepreneurship. They feel like I'm going to go do this and I'm going to have all the time in the world. No, when you work for yourself, you work 4/7 every flipping day. And other people don't see that. It's not because they just see what they want to see. But like with my business, with Royal Restrooms, we're celebrating our 20th year, and I am so grateful for that. And I have offices all over the country, and I have wonderful office owners that contribute and spread the experience of Royal Restrooms everywhere. I have one perspective that they don't have, and I have the perspective from the entire country, from events from the West Coast to the East Coast to down south, from disaster response to weddings. I hear everything that's going on. And one of the things that we heard was, we want something a little more. We want something a little different. And so that I'm trying something. I'm testing some new markets, some new products with beverage trailers and office trailers and TV trailers in some of our markets as an add-on, because we're in the events industry. That's our specialty. We like to consider ourselves a professional services rather than just sanitation services. And a lot of my office owners are like, we're a restroom company, and they are so starch on that. But I think a lot of that comes down to they're comfortable where they are now. They don't want to be as aggressive entrepreneurs and work something that they did 15, 20 years ago now they want to hold on to what they've got rather than keep continuing to expand. And I see that in so many different businesses and so many people that I talk to, that if you're not growing, you're just stagnant. You have to continue to grow and be innovative and stay ahead of the competition. Royal Restrooms is one of the leaders in the industry, and whether that's could be debatable, but all of those people are still looking to see what we're doing.
So I'm going to debate David for a second here. So David just said he's one of Royal Restrooms Royal Restrooms is the leader in the high-end event shitter industry. So they're not the one of. David Sowers leads the ultimate clean Royal Restroom experience over in North America. Johnny Anderson.
Yeah. So I think, just for the listeners that may not have quite caught what he was saying. So he's got this thriving business, Royal Restrooms, and he's solved this massive problem for a whole lot of customers, and they love it. And so now what he's saying is, what? I think I can solve even more problems for my customers. And then he brings them another solution for another set of problems. And that's how he's basically just piggybacking or backpacking his success with Royal Restrooms. But the customers are not thinking, oh man, he's trying to sell me something again, blah, blah, blah. They don't receive this negatively. They think, this guy already solved a massive problem for me, and he's got another solution. Let's check it out. That is like straight up A+ entrepreneurship. He's already got customers that are happy with the service. If he can solve another problem, they're going to be right there and happy that he brought that solution to them.
What's awesome, Johnny, is that David has used the Royal Restrooms experience as the Trojan horse into that space. So it's like, hey, you all need restrooms. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And we've set the bar here. Okay. And then once y'all get comfortable with our restrooms experience, they're like, oh, maybe you want to have this. Maybe it's that old adage of adding fries to the menu, isn't it, Johnny? You want a hamburger, you want fries. I love that, David. I didn't realize that you guys were offering these extra services. Customers, what a wonderful way to grow the business. Hey, listen, you're here with Keith, John, Marty, and David Sowers talking about, when is it time to leave your old business? When is it time to reinvent it? When is it time to pivot as an entrepreneur? We're going to come back to this conversation in 2 minutes and continue talking entrepreneurship with David Sowers, the CEO of Royal Restrooms, the cleanest restroom experience in the event industry in North America. But what we're going to do first, Johnny, is we're going to lean into a lifestyle tip. I know you got something for Business Athlete Nation to give them something to think about to help them get to the day today. So Marty, David, we're going to step aside for 90 seconds. John's going to step up, and we're talking entrepreneurship with David Sowers, the CEO of Royal Restrooms. David, when you were making the change as you were looking at the business with your team and say, hey, we sell restrooms, but we also can offer other things to our customers. Pivoting takes careful strategy and planning. And as Marty likes to say, you can't just wing it. So from your leadership experience, David, what was that top consideration before you said to your partners, let's add this? let's try this. Let's test this. The difficult thing for many entrepreneurs is to try or to test something, but you're like, okay, let's make an investment, let offer a new package to our customers. Talk us through that strategy, David, which got you guys there.
Yeah, of course. So my strategy was, instead of just rolling it out, let's test it first. We started a couple small businesses to start testing the market, putting it out there and seeing what the reception would be, so that we would have some kind of baseline to go back to people and say, take a look at this. This little beverage cart added a whole nother feature. It doubled your revenue at an event. And it created a whole another little party over here. It's already needed. If you've got bathrooms, odds are you've got drinks, or you've got bars, you've got concession, you've got something. And so the small things just started to take place. And these things have been on the back burner for a long time, but it's all pre-planning, pre-testing prior to really rolling things out. We still haven't rolled out all of these services all over the country. They're still in small little offices ramping up. So it's a positive outlook. It looks great. The reception has been outstanding.
And you're making things easier for your customers. They're going to order the shitter and they say, yeah, let's get the drinks, let's get the napkins, let's get this. You're creating a service that makes it easier for them to do business. So it's a win for everyone. I love to hear it, brother. Good shit.
Yeah, it's when we go and do a festival, a larger scale festival, you know what? We have some office trailers, we have some refrigeration trailers, we have sink trailers for your general population. So when they do use the regular porta potty, they've got at least some place to wash their hands. And our shower trailers and our restroom trailers, all of a sudden we've got 20 trailers there rather than just a handful.
Yeah. You know what? So Marty and John, you know what I love about David's business, as I've gotten to know David and gotten to know the business over the last number of months, year or so, is that he took a difficult problem, the restroom industry, and set a benchmark for it. But what he did is he took a very personal experience, cleaning your hands, cleaning your ass, having a very personal experience, and made it exceptional for you as a human, John, made it exceptional for you as a human, Marty. And then once he satisfied all of that, and what I'm trying to say, he excelled at that experience. He knows you as a customer, John. Okay, I've set your expectations on the bathroom experience. Now I'm going to introduce you to our office trailer. Now I'm going to introduce you to the different experiences. Now, John, you as a customer already have a bar set. You're like, okay, I'm going to go to that bathroom over there. I know it's going to be clean. I know it's going to be refreshed. I know it's going to make me feel good as a human being. What's the first thing, John, you're thinking when you go see the office trailer? Is that you're going to walk in there and you're going to go, oh, it's the same experience. So he takes a highly personal experience about being in the bathroom and translates it to other parts of business. It's a very different way of looking at it, because typically you're like, yeah, I'm going to go sell drinks, but then how do I add bathrooms to this place? David, you solved the hardest problem first. Johnny.
Basically, what he's done is he set a standard.
Yes.
And that standard is here. And so basically his current customers know his standard and know that whatever he brings them next is also going to have a higher standard. And that's what they're buying.
Yeah. I love that. And Rick Klepke comes in, David, do you find, David, that you're selling the improved experience rather than just a commode, Eddie? Couldn't resist. My guess is that this is a huge perk for female clients of your customers. I guess what Rick is saying, David, is that you've satisfied your customers with the restroom experience. It must be easier to offer the additional trailers, knowing that you've set such a high value bar.
It can, and it has been in certain instances, but when we started our business, when we came into an industry that the standard of a portalet was the accepted solution. That was the norm. And so our whole industry, we disrupted our entire industry by providing something nice and something clean and comfortable. And it was from an early on, we thought that this would be a very easy pitch, but it wasn't. We actually had to convince a lot of people, hey, there's a better solution out there. And it took collecting a whole lot of people's shit to change their mind. And that's the thing. We're in the business of collecting that. Yeah. And we want to provide that experience because it is such a personal thing that we do. And with the events, we've seen it all over the country. We've watched people lug coolers full of beer and ice out to golf courses, out to car shows, out to weddings. We can provide it in a trailer that gives nostalgia. It provides that ambience and it provides that cool factor and just fun that you're trying to create in an event. You try so hard to get everybody there why would you not want to give them that experience? Because after all, you're still, even in as an event, you're selling the experience. So at Royal Restrooms, everything that we do is all about the experience. We want the experience to be professional. We want it to be comfortable. We want it to be outstanding, and we want it to be memorable. And we also want it to be seamless.
Yeah. Marty.
Without as much problems. And we're here to continue to earn your service, not just once we get it. We want to earn it day in, day out.
Yeah.
Dave, when you talk about the new ideas and things you haven't even laid out yet, what do you do specifically to keep those thoughts fresh? Like, how do you keep that vision going? Because a lot of people, they get stagnant, they get comfortable, they feel like they can't come up with new ideas. So what do you do? Is that a natural thing, or is there something you do in your life specifically?
I think that I've just been blessed with daydreaming, and I'm able to recognize some of the problems and solutions, but I've also trained myself to look for those things everywhere I am now. Like, how can you tweak this? How can you make it a little bit better? Even down from watching how a rental car place executes their car rental. I look at things to, how could this be done differently? How can it be better? And how would it apply to my everyday life or my businesses? The other thing is, I am lucky to have stimulating conversations with guys like you. So I come back and I replay it at night and I try to execute.
Yeah. Good morning, TV Dad from Oregon. I see you joining us here today. Hey, just a reminder, subscribe to the channel, hit the old like button, hit the subscribe channel. We start the show every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only show to help you guys be accountable, the only show to help you not hit the snooze button, and the only show that gets up every single day to help you guys hit your big, hairy, audacious goals. John Anderson.
I was just going to basically compliment David on his using his imagination, because a lot of times entrepreneurs, they don't use their imagination. Imagination is a powerful thing. And as an entrepreneur, we're trying to fill that void that's been unfilled. We're trying to find problem solving and creating solutions for the world. And you get there by, just like David said, the simplest thing is he's renting a car and he's using his imagination. How could this be better?
Yes.
And when you use your imagination, especially as an entrepreneur, you're going to stumble across some interesting stuff. And to go back to what Marty was saying, if you're doing this, you're never getting bored.
Yeah. David, I got a question for you here before we get to the In the Gym with John and Marty segment here in a couple of minutes. David, it would be easy not to add the additional services. It would be easy to be stubborn and say, no, we are a restrooms business. No, we're not selling office trailers. No, we're not doing anything else except offer restrooms. And David, a lot of entrepreneurs adopt that mindset. We're going to do this and do this only. At what point, David, does it become stubborn not to look at new ways to drive revenue and expand the business? David?
I think a lot of that goes back to the entrepreneur, that's in there. How much do they want to work? Are they comfortable? Are they, how much of this was going to mean something to them in 10, 20 years? If you're sitting there at retirement age and you're wanting to move on, you may not want to work anymore. You might not want to go through this task. You've reached your peak. It's time to let new blood come in and take over, because I get stagnant. I start to get lazy or lackadaisical and just go with the flow. And you constantly need things to reinvigorate you and get excited about what you're doing, or else your business will fail. It may not completely drop off, but it won't be up at the top. You look at companies all over the globe that were, the cell phone, Nokia. They had the top cell phone. Where are they now?
Yes.
If you feel like you've got that you're the only one that can do it and you're the one doing it, somebody will knock you off. And you've got to continue to grow in order to be at the top. And you've got to have employees, you've got to have office owners, you've got to have people behind you, backing you to do that, and also be excited and take the failure as a lesson and change directions.